Welcome to Horror Movies and Beyond, a show about reviewing horror movies for the living to understand the dead. I'm your host, Ivotres Littles, and this is Shudderary, where we go behind the screens of Shudder original and exclusive movies. Today, I have a really awesome special guest. He's a horror content creator, and he reviews horror movies on his YouTube channel, Bobby Likes It Spooky. Let's welcome Bobby Torrez. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm super happy to be here, and this is my second time being here, and I'm super excited. So yes, thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Yes, I'm excited to have you here as well. Last year we did the Shed and Beelzebub.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, yeah, and those were some interesting, fun, creepy, religious vampires,
demons.
I mean, everything else.
Yes.
And now we're now here in 2022, and it is just exciting that Shudderary it's back. So before we begin talking about the movie you chose, which is Horror Noire, about Black Anthology, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, if you guys don't know already, I have a YouTube channel called Bobby Likes It Spooky, where I review horror movies. I do theme ratings, collab with other horror content creators. Like Ivotres last year, we did Child's Play 2 versus Child's Play 1, back and forth. That was such a good time. And I just like to talk about all things horror on my channel. And I currently have a new podcast with my buddy Mike Brown called The People Under the Scares, which is pretty cool too. And I've been doing that as well. Yeah, and I'm just a Black horror content creator, and I love horror.
Yes. Horror is where it's at.
Yes, it is. I mean, I try to, every time I meet somebody new, I try to start conversations with them, and then I try to sneak in those horror movie questions and stuff just to see if they're into it, just so I can find a vibe with those type of people. But sometimes it don't always work out, sometimes it does. But also I feel like wearing horror t-shirts and graphic tees and you're out in the public, that also is a conversation starter, because somebody be like, yo, I love that movie, and then all of a sudden y'all talking about horror for 10 hours. So I just
good
love
times.
It.
Good times.
They are, and that's why hopefully those Shudderary shirts, if you're selling them, I would love to cop one, because I would love to tell people all about it even more so.
You're not the only one that keeps asking me I want one. Where can I get one? It's well, it was kind of a last minute thing. I was just going to have my little sign, but then I was like, you know what? I want to take it to the next level. And so a week before I ordered it, and I was like, oh, it's not going to make it. And then actually got here days before I was going to start the very first one. And I didn't think anything of it, but then people was like, I want one. Can I get one from you if you're selling them? So right. maybe, or if I do it next year, I'll be well prepared.
Yes. I'll be first to cop one real quick, and every Shudderary, if I'm invited, happy Shudderary. Here I am with my shirt. So
I'll think about it. Because if he was like, oh, I wear a long sleeve sweater with Shudderary. Yeah. Yes. So no.
This. All right. So this is a Creepshow shirt, and they got the designs and stuff on there. So that would be so dope if you had Shudderary on the sides and a different design. Yes. We'll talk more of it after this.
Yeah. So you pick Horror Noire. So why did you pick that movie?
because it's black people and I'm rooting for everybody black. I'm joking. That's true, but I'm also joking as far as my answer. Um, no, I love Hard Noir, the documentary, and just seeing the history going all the way from like the 19 like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and like just seeing where we came from and up and like to this point where black horror, like where is that now. It was just exciting to just see all these filmmakers, actors, producers, just everybody a part of this documentary. Even people behind the scenes, and I learned so much from that documentary. I end up getting the Blu-ray just because I love it that much, and even though it was on Shudder and I have Shudder, I still end up buying the Blu-ray just because I had to. And then when this movie came about, well, when I first heard that they were doing a horror noir movie or something, I was just like, oh, I can't wait for this. Like, we need this. It's, original black stories, black filmmakers again, actors is giving us that spotlight. But then I thought it was going to be like a creep show type of anthology, but in a series, not so much a movie. And then when we got the movie, I said, oh, okay, cool. I'm still going to support it, obviously, but I just was hoping that it was going to be a series. And I picked it just because, again, I was excited for the documentary. I'm excited for this one, and I loved Tanana Reeve, and just seeing her stories come alive. She's amazing, and I had to support it, and just everybody behind it. It was so good. Long, but good.
Yes. So if you guys don't know yet, there will be spoilers. So if you guys don't want to hear the spoilers, go on over to Shudder and check it out. It is streaming right now. It's
Yes.
Horror Noire, the Black Anthology. Also, there's Horror Noire where it talks about the history of Black film. So a Black horror, not just Black film in general. But yeah, they're both on there. Check them out. But if you're going to stay, there will be spoilers. So we warn you. So let's get started here.
Yes.
This came out, I believe, October of 2021. And it is a Shudder original. It really focuses on racism, just Black issues, slavery, there's just stereotypes, like everything you can think of under the sun. It does focus on that. Right. What you said earlier about it being a movie, I really wish this was a series. I think far as each story, it would have worked better as a series, like Creepshow series, because each story feels to me that it was rushed. Not the beginning of the story, but to try to end it, because I guess each one of them is roughly 30 minutes or close to that. So I feel like each story felt incomplete.
No, I agree.
That's how I felt about it. Like, wait a minute, I felt like it could have kept going, but I guess, time wise. Yeah. But I really wished this was a series instead of a movie. I believe as a movie, it is just too long. It is 2 hours and 38 minutes, 38 minutes. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I agree. Like I said, I wish this was a series instead of a movie. And you're right also about how most of these stories end abruptly. Like, they just end too quickly. Like, the first story, I was into it. The lake, I was just like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And then it ended. And I'm just like, that's it? And then same thing with the next one. And then the next one, I'm just like, okay. So it's either time or budget issues. And I feel like maybe it was both. Just because I think this was cheap to make. And I just felt like if they had a bigger budget, maybe they could have done more. Because honestly, a couple of these stories could have been actually a film of their own. I just feel like that. Particularly the first one, The Lake. And I love that story. And I was hoping that it was going to be a little bit longer. And I was so into it. And then how it went off, I'm just like, damn, it has to be like budget issues and time issues, because it's a movie again. You know what I mean? So if it had more time and a bit more money, I'm sure it would have done I'm sure it would have been better, not done better. It should have. Sure, I can't talk today. I'm sure it would have been better. So yeah, I agree everything with you. I just wish that it was a serious. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are 6 stories. One is called The Lake. The second one is Brand of Evil, Bride Before You. Is it Fugue State?
I think so. I was saying that. I was like Fugue State. I like damn.
Fugue State. Oh, who knows?
Right.
Yeah. Daddy and Sundown. The Lake is about a woman who we see her buying a home and to have a fresh start, and she is a high school teacher. And when she gets there, it's like they got this old man telling her, stay away, don't go in the lake, don't go in the lake. But right before we see that, we see an incident that happened in the lake. We did not see who the victims, we just know it was a pastor and their child or something like that. And we didn't see how they got messed up or what had happened, but the old guy was telling them it could be an alligator or gator with something, crocodile, whatever, but they're not too sure. It could be something else. And then, that's all we know. That's all we know, that she's just a high school teacher. And then we notice something interesting about this high school teacher. She went in that lake. She's like burning up. She's like, oh, hell with this. And she goes into the lake. And something weird is like on her ribs, but we do notice something else about this teacher. It doesn't tell you, but it is implied she is a predator, not the predator. Not a predator. We think like a monster. Well, it depends on how you look at it, but she had a past where she was, liking young men in high school. Right. I know. What do you think about that story?
It made me a little bit uncomfortable because at first when stuff was happening and she was getting those phone calls, I'm just like, oh, okay, like what's going on? But then I was putting it together. I'm just like, oh, she is a predator, which and I guess for this story, it makes sense because if she's a siren, sirens normally lure men. I'm not going to say young men, but just men in general into the water with their voices. And then, they're beautiful and they attack and kill. So it makes sense for her character and what happened to her. But at the same time, I wasn't expecting her to be that. And then I felt even more uncomfortable when she was talking to Derek, the young high schooler, and just her, and I'm not going to say making passes, but she was giving him like those googly eyes and kind of just doing too much, you know what I mean? I'm just like, this boy is probably no older than 15, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing, woman? Like, what is going on? And even his girlfriend was like, hold up, like, what's going on? But yeah, it made me feel a little uncomfortable. But then at the same time, I was just like, can you just get men that's trash and lure them to the lake and you can eat them instead of getting these innocent young high school kids? But again, before she became a siren, she normally was a predator. So I guess those two things coming together is just, there you have it. So
do you think she was a siren before?
At first, I thought she was. And it'd be like when I first watched this, I thought she was. And I was just like, oh, maybe she was a siren. And when she went inside the lake, something wakened her or whatever. But then when I watched it again, I was like, oh no, she already had this past. And it's just when she went in the lake, I guess she got bit or something happened to her while she was in there. And then she started to transform. Because when I first watched it and when she first came out, you start to see underneath, like on her ribs, it looked like scratch marks at first. I thought they were scratch marks. But then later on, you start to see that they're gills. And I'm like, oh, snap. Like, she's turning into a fish. So I was just like, so I'm just like, okay, this is where we're going with. I'm going into the siren territory. And yeah, so second watch, that's when I was like, all right, she became it. I don't think she was already one.
When she got in there, I think it awakened the predator in her, which is type of siren where you lure
Mm-hmm.
kids, or whatever you're into.
Yeah.
So she ended up doing that, with that young man and lured
Yeah.
them into the water. But she ended up getting what she really wanted,
Watch
which
it.
was
Yeah.
him. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that,
It was very interesting. I mean, I like the
yeah.
story a lot though. Like I like where it was going.
Hmm.
And I just wished if it had a bigger budget, like we got to see more, like
Yeah.
because we at the very end we get the glimpse of her as a full siren. You can see her face and she have like the seaweed on her and stuff. But I
Hmm.
wanted to see more. Like after that brief moment with her, I was like, okay, that's it. Like I want one more.
Yeah.
So I just wish that again it had a bigger budget because I really like the story a lot.
Yeah. Next, we have Brand of Evil,
Mm,
where a
one of
young
my favorites.
artist, where a young artist is outside painting on a mural, and he is insulted by another black guy. It looks like the drunk of the town or city or neighborhood, and he gets a phone call to, hey, can you do these symbols and I'll pay you this much, and it kept going like that, and not realizing that those symbols that he is making summons something else and kills a member of the community.
Yeah.
What did you think about that story?
It was different. I actually liked it. Um, what's his name again? I know it start with an N.
It's Nakini
I,
Nekini. Na,
Nik-
ne, wait, Nekani. There it go.
Nakani. There we go.
I was getting there.
You were close.
Yeah.
Nakani. I liked his character up until the point where he started. Um, I'm going to say this. He was pretty much sacrificing these people, because he was doing this for money. He was letting money take over his relationships with people, his personal relationship with his boyfriend, and he didn't care. And I'm sure he cared to a point, but the first time, understandable, you don't know what was happening. The second time, especially when you found out after this entity or whatever killed Miss Lawrence, who is your, I guess your mentor or something like that. And it seemed like she was a sweet woman. Like I loved her. And after that, you continue to do it again because you were offered 10,000 or whatever amount of money. Like it was making me angry and fed up with this character just to see how he's really ruining his relationships for this money. And then you have this white man on the phone. You don't know who he is. It's sketchy as hell. You don't know what's going on. You just know that you're getting money to just do these cheap designs. And I understand, like, maybe he came from a place of not having money. It was a struggle for him because his boyfriend even kind of said something like that when they were arguing. But that's insane. I would never do that. Like, I probably would mess up and do the first one just because I'm like, all right, hey, I need $5,000. This is whatever. But then we start to see weird things happening, and then that whole second one, and then your boyfriend is in your ear, and then especially when they were in his boyfriend's job, Cordell, and you have the other guy saying, hey, that's like a neo-Nazi symbol. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
He gave him like the definition of that symbol, and he still continued to do it and send it so he can get paid. That pissed me off. So at that point I was just like, you know what, I don't care what happens to him, he deserved it. I do love that there's black queer representation in this because this is something that I've been looking forward to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I'm a black queer man and we don't really have much of it in, in horror, and to see this in here was pretty cool. But I still was annoyed with these characters. So so yeah, that was my thoughts on this story. I enjoyed it. It was different, and it goes to show you that what a person would do just to get some money just because they never had it and they think it will change and better their lives, but you're literally sacrificing everybody for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that one did have a clear message. Um, just artists in general, like entertainers, you know, what you would do to destroy your community to have money in your pocket. Each thing that you do, um, you're putting money, or you are funding a particular group of people, but not realizing that there are like tearing down your community. And I think that happens a lot in Black communities. I really do think so. So
Yeah.
that one definitely had a clear message. And he even mentioned, hey, people sell their souls all the time.
Yeah, you bought these off of Amazon,
So
so that was a direct hit towards Amazon. Because you know how Amazon, they say Amazon they treat their people like crap. So it's just, that was
yeah.
funny, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Next, we have Bride Before You. There's a young lady who just married a rich or businessman, and she, you know, needs to bear a son, but it's not happening. So she gets desperate and goes to the like a folk, you know, healer, and asks for help. But it comes with a price. What do you think about that story?
That story, that story was interesting. I it was kind of like triggering just because I get upset when there's like light skin, black skin. I said black skin, dark skin conversations going on.
Mm-hmm.
Just because growing up, me personally, just because I'm a darker skinned person, I got called names. I got called, oh, you know, light skin is the right skin. Just it was just a whole bunch of things happening. So watching this and just seeing how she was like, oh well, you know, this baby can't take after his father. It has to look like me, a lighter skinned woman.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it kind of made me feel some type of way. But then when we get to the end and you start to see, I guess, her change of heart, but what happened when that whole situation happened with the, you know, the spider, and then her like going inside the spider to get this, you know, beautiful dark skinned child out because she had to change her heart all of a sudden, and all this crazy stuff was happening. It was just I didn't know how I felt about this story. It was a question mark for me. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
liked it, but I also I was triggered at the same time. Um, but that's just how I felt. But I did, for the most part, I feel like it was one that did need to be told. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. How about you?
I felt that it did have a message. All of them have a message, but
Mm-hmm.
this one, I noticed that we didn't understand what the price you have to pay to get to, you know, what she wanted. And I think it was her sanity, the guilt. So she had one child that came out, and you know, we think we all we see is a shadow, and they decide to bury it, but it was a survivor, so they just kept it locked away. The second child that came out was looking like her. Now that usually happens, you know, if you have a light-skinned well, like for my parents, my mom was a little bit on the darker side, my dad was a little bit on the medium side, so I came out like this. But my other sisters, I mean, even though they have different dads, I have a darker sister and have a really, really light, twice like me, like, who have like longer, you know, long hairs, kind
Yeah.
of thin, you know, anyway. And you see that people lighter get treated differently than
Yeah.
darker skin.
Yeah.
It's within the community. So I understood the story was trying to say that, you know, she ended up locking one away because she didn't want her husband to know that. And it was also because, oh my God, we have to stay light skinned. But the whole spider thing and the house rocking, I was getting out of that is that it was the guilt in the house
Mm-hmm.
that was trying to have her remember. Because remember, she took something as well to have the
Yeah.
kid, but also to forget. But
Yeah.
she couldn't remember, but it was you know, it was screaming at her, but
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't figure it out. But when she did, she ended up having to face what she's done, because she lost everything. Her husband ended up leaving her anyway. I mean,
Yep.
it didn't matter what, doing all of that, he ended up
Mm-hmm.
leaving her. Her son ended up leaving, and I mean, she was left alone with her own guilt while she had this child upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
treating it different.
Yep.
I don't think there was necessarily a spider or a
Yeah.
creature like that. I think it was just, she was so hideous. She you had to find something that would scare you, which is
Yeah.
it, which it was a spider. So when she took the child out and it was a beautiful child, to
Yeah.
realize that it doesn't matter the color of your skin, you're either going to be tossed away anyway. So just love your kids, of no matter who they are. So
Yep.
that's what I got out of that.
Yep. You couldn't say that better myself. True.
Next week. Oh, go ahead. Did you have something else to add on?
Oh no,
there,
no.
or?
I was just gonna say, like you're right. Now that I think about it, like maybe it wasn't a spider the whole time. Like you said, it was just being as though that she was guilty, and this child was hidden this whole entire time. I guess she had to come to her own reality and just face like, hey, this is what it is. I had to accept it. And I think she had a quote, like she had like dialogue at the end where she said, it's me and you, and we'll die together, or something like that when they come to get us. So she said something
Yeah.
along those lines. So I think she faced the fact that, I do love this child. I'm sorry. And like regardless if you're dark skinned or not, if they come to get you, they're gonna have to take me out as well. So I think she finally accepted, like, all right, I can have a dark skinned kid. Even though it came in the price of her losing everything when she tried hiding her. But yeah, that was just my thoughts. I agree with everything you said.
The next one we have, I think, is Fugue. Fugue. I should have looked it up. State. And this is when a man investigates a local church because some weird stuff is happening. But in the process, he became sucked into whatever religion that church have, and he's trying to get his wife to join in, and she's resistant. So, but in the end, I don't know. What do you think about this story?
This one was interesting. I loved it because we have Rachel True, who's in the craft, and she's in a whole bunch of other things, but she's in the horror community. She's known for the craft as Rochelle, I think her name was. And I enjoyed it. It was different. It shows how people can be brainwashed with religion, and you could kind of compare it to a cult, because when you see what's his name, Arthur, I can't say Arthur, there you go, I can't talk to Arthur, when he goes into the church, and the first time he goes to the church, he's brainwashed. You see like that orange yellow tint go over his eyes, and then when he goes back home, he's like a little erratic but also quiet too, like he's very different. And I just wish that his wife was a little bit more, what's happening, what's going on, and she just followed him like, so yeah, like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, okay. It's like, no, your husband coming in acting very weird, like what the fuck is going on? But I enjoyed it because they also, so like, I guess when you become brainwashed, you paint your face red and then you start just killing people all happy and stuff. So just seeing her go on these like investigations and try to figure things out, and just see how he was, and just, well, he was just out of it. He was definitely brainwashed, but he was definitely lost. And when we get to the end, and she finally goes to the church after listening to her friend, and then we get Tony Todd, who is, Kane, and we already knew that was Tony Todd because that voice is iconic. Like when we heard, this, but he was a minister or something like that. And then when we get that one lady, the neighbor, come in and try to kill him, and then everybody just jumped her. I was just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But then Tony Todd sees Rachel True's character, and then all of a sudden she's like, I guess, hypnotized, or under the influence of whatever is going on with them. And then her and her husband are both possessed, happy, killing people with red faces. So I enjoyed this one. It was different, and it just shows that religion can be also toxic too. You can't always let religion, like, you can't always pit you're all into religion, and that's why I feel like I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not religious, because I went to church in my time, and I felt like, you know, they try to put things in your head that's not necessarily true, and then try to brainwash you to, and try to convince you that the things that you're doing out in the world is wrong when it's actually not. So this
Mhm.
was a whole different take on that, and I actually enjoyed it. So yeah. What about you?
Oh, I really I think this is one of those stories that should have been expanded on its own, because it left me with more questions than answers. But it did show that no matter what color you are, a cult is a cult, and you could get sucked in believing, even if you know something's not right. It's just everyone else is doing it. Let me go see. And then, because a loved one pulls you in, even though you know it's not right, you're going to, because it's your loved one, you're going to do it. You're going to participate.
Right.
And I just think, at some point you have to have your own mind and don't, fall for it. But that's kind of what I got out of it. Um, I just thought, from when she arrived to, you know, deciding to, see these zombie like people eating the flesh of your enemies, to her becoming part of the cult and red faced and then go slice up this couple. I just like, I think we need to expand that before we
Yeah.
get there, because it just went from this to that, and I just like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't
Yeah.
know. That's
Like,
what I.
did they explain why the red face? Like, did they say anything
I
about
guess it's
that?
supposed to be the blood of your enemies, because when they were
Okay.
sitting down eating, they were putting it all on their face
True.
as they were eating. That's the only thing I was getting out of that. If there's something I missed, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So that's all I
Yeah.
got out of it.
Yeah. I agree with you though. I wish it was expanded, because this is something that I want to know more about. I want to see, but
Yeah.
how it ended, I just like, oh, they're attacking her friends now, and they about to die, and then that's
Yeah.
it, and they're happy doing it. So,
Yeah.
so, more Tony side
Next,
too.
yeah. Next we have is Daddy. Now this story, I get it, but like I said, I wish it was expanded. It's a story about a father trying not to become like his dad, to keep his son grounded, like not grounded as, he's in trouble, but, keep himself grounded in taking care of his son and his family, and not end up like, you know, his dad. But in the end, he ended up being like that because he was trying so hard not to. That's what I got out of it. What do you think?
Yeah. Same thing. Shout out to Luke James, that played the father. I like him a lot. He's a awesome, talented singer. So I'm happy to see him digging into acting and doing horror stuff too, which is great. But that's what I got from it too. At first when I watched this, I thought it was going to be like some type of changeling story for some reason. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why. I thought like something was going to happen with the kid, and he gets switched out and become like a demon child or some shit. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a cool take. I like where, like you said, he's trying so hard not to be like his father, and he's doing everything under the sun trying to be like a good dad. Like he's pretty much with this child 24/7. Like even when he sleep, he's just sitting there watching him, like, and I can understand that, because if you had a rough childhood and you was treated a certain way, you're doing everything in your power to not be that parent. And also how I took it is where we have generational trauma. And what I mean by that is how, how when your mother and father say, oh well, my mom and dad did this, so I'm gonna do the same thing to you. It's like, why? Like, just because they
Mm-hmm.
hit you doesn't mean you have to hit me to discipline me. You know what I mean? So I think for him, what he's trying to do is do the opposite, where I feel like a lot of people into these worlds should do. because I get annoyed when I hear conversations, oh well, my father and my dad or my mom treated me this way, and it's like, well, why would you want that for your kid? Try a different way, and maybe a better way. So I feel like with this character, that's what he was trying to do, but it got to the point where, like you said, he was trying so hard where this toxic version of him actually did come out, and happened to be his doppelganger. And I already knew that the doppelganger was going to win, because it wouldn't be a horror story if it didn't win. And that's what happened. And then I got scared for the kid, because you see the dad just, after the dads have the fight, and then obviously the doppelganger won, and you see him with the kid, and then he smiling at the kid, and all of a sudden his face just goes straight. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what he's going to do to this child. I mean, I'm happy they didn't show anything, but I got worried. So for me, I enjoyed this one. This is another one I wish, like you were saying with the other films, I wish it was expanded, because I would love to know more about this. And if you're actually going to bring in these doppelgangers, I want to know where they come from, how does this happen, how does it manifest, and where did the actual body of the real one went. So I just want to know more. I just want to know more.
I get it. I just think it was rushed towards the end when the doppelganger came in and fighting, and because I would like to have known more of the trauma or why he is trying so hard not to be like his dad. I mean, it really didn't. He just wanted to be a good father. Okay, but what is the underlying of that? So I guess they
could have did like little flashbacks. They could have done like little quick scenes where he's having like dreams or nightmares where how he was treated as a kid. That would have just gave us enough right there, But we didn't get that.
Or we could have saw him, like have those dreams and flashbacks, but we didn't see him as a child. We just see his POV towards his dad. But we didn't have to see his dad actually hit him or anything, just this anger. And then we could a few times, and then, he kind of confines into, his girlfriend or whatever. And then it could have went on, and then we could have you ended up being what you were fighting against. So
we would have understood more.
The last one is Sundown, which I thought was fun.
It was fun. I love this one.
It was a comedy horror. This one is about a group of people that are campaigning for an African American woman, and they come to a town where Blacks are not allowed. But this town has a sinister story.
I just love that we still come back to vampires, because we did the shit last year, and we still come back to this vampires. I love it. I like this one. Like you said, it was a lot of fun. I think with all the heavy ones and thinking too deep with the other stories, this one was kind of like, okay, just fun, like granted, there's still some racist stuff going on, you got people saying the N-word and things like that. But overall, that scene, child. But overall, it was a good time. I love when we get vampires and people's fighting them, especially Black people, and you see yourself in these situations and how you would act. Everything that Marcus and his girlfriend was saying, I was thinking the same thing, and it was just it was a fun time. I loved it, and just to see how these vampires look, like they got the fangs, but if you notice, they all have like blue eyes, so they're not like red or yellow or demonic looking. They're blue, and they always, Black people always call evil white people, the white devil and things like that. Blue-eyed white devil, that's what it is. And that's what I got from it. I'm just like, okay, they put that type of stuff into this movie, made them vampires, and we just have awesome kick-ass Black people being heroes, fending for themselves and getting the hell out of town. First of all, they shouldn't have been there. Like, I understood, but I would have did some research before I went anywhere. Because that town, woo.
I mean that that one was a lot of fun. I really did enjoy the characters, but you're right. You know, the whole blue-eyed devil thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, they made them vampires, bloodsuckers. I mean,
Hmm.
if you think they kind of sucked the life out of the town, out of their victims, and yeah, so it was pretty self-explanatory, the whole thing of what was going on
Yeah.
and how they, you know, got out of there. I mean,
Hmm.
for the most part, even
Yeah.
though, but she was kicking ass though.
He
That,
was.
yeah, she was not going down,
Oh
you know,
no.
like that. She
Vibes.
was
That's what we need to
fighting.
see. And I'm
Yeah.
happy we got it. I love
And she
it.
had little jokes in there too.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was it
I
was a
loved it.
fun ride.
And I got worried
Uh,
too because when they announced the titles and they called this one Sundown, you know, like Sundown towns are, you know. So I thought, oh, this is gonna be another heavy one. But then it wasn't so heavy. It was just like, oh, this is a Sundown town. But no, it was the opposite from what we thought it was going to be. So I like how they kind of tricked us.
yeah. Overall, I have to say, I did enjoy this movie. I just wish it was a series. The concepts and everything are amazing. I just wish it was a series of its own, like one come out every week.
Yeah.
And it could have been an hour long, you
Yeah.
know, like a show, and it would have just blew our minds. But
Yeah.
they did it the way they did, so I mean, it is what it
Next
is.
time,
So
hopefully,
yeah.
they'll come back and give us a series instead of a movie.
There were some things I did notice in all of them. I'm not sure if it was intentional, but representation of Black people was in there. However, I did notice that the main star, they were light skinned,
Hmm.
skinny Black people. Now, I'm not trying to say nothing, but we need except for the guy
We
in
need melanin
Brand of
more.
Evil.
Yeah.
um he was more a little bit on the darker side, but he was represented as this greedy artist, and I
Hmm.
think we need a little different, unless there is a specific message. Like Tales from the Hood worked because it was in the hood. It would focus on certain things that were at the time very necessary.
Right.
I think this one had the ideas there, but I think if they expanded on the story, especially the lake, um, the brand of evil, you know, selling yourself out for
Hmm.
$1 for, I guess, for the white man, the white devil,
Hmm.
if you want
Yep.
to think of it that way.
Yeah.
The bride, if you light skin, you're worth your time, you're worth the life. And then we have FUGU stand. I can't ever say. It doesn't matter what color you are.
Hmm.
You will be sucked into cults. And then we have Daddy, what you're fighting against. Well, you will end up becoming. And he was also dark skinned.
Yeah.
Hugh State. She was light skinned, and
Hmm.
that was Rachel True. Like, I really think it's like there's more colors. I think darker women need to be more represented
I
in
was just gonna say
acting,
that
or heavy, or
heavy,
weight.
yeah,
We got
yeah,
skinny, light
different
skinned, long
sizes.
haired mixed girls, and it's just like I thought this would be against like showing everything like they did in the horror noir, the history of Black horror, you know, where
Yeah,
they addressed those issues. But in this, I did not
yeah,
see any of it.
yeah,
Even at the end, the girl, the Black girl, her hair was blonde.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. It's just like I would love to see, like real quick, I would have loved to see if the siren didn't look like that in the lake. Give the siren again a darker skinned woman. Maybe she's, you know, a little bit bigger. She's a little thicker. Show that women like that can also be sirens too. They can be these sexual beings and I guess creatures and stuff like that. It don't always have to be a thin, lighter skinned woman with long hair and stuff. Like I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful, like I'm happy we got to
Mm,
see this. But at the same time, like you mentioned, I didn't see any different representation in women in here. I will say
mm.
that. Like men I've seen, like, okay, you got some light skin, you got some of the dark skin, but women in here is just I felt like they didn't do that. And I know there's amazing dark skinned bigger women out, not even just bigger women, but like just dark skinned women or just bigger women. Like there's different varieties of people out there that are actresses that they can fill in these roles that y'all, they have in these stories. So if they do another movie or turn it into a series, I would love to see them bring that in, because I think it's well needed. Because I'm happy you said that. That's what I noticed as well. I was watching, I'm just like, well, where's that representation? So I'm happy you brought that up.
Yeah, I think we should see all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
And because we're, what we're complaining about in the movies out in the mainstream, but in our own movie we're still doing the same thing. So we need to change that up a little bit. Just a little bit. We need
yeah,
with some there, believe me, there's some like Viola Davis. Oh, yes. She is a fabulous actress.
I love her.
And I would have loved to see her in this.
Oh, if she would have showed up in here and it was like kept secret and she like popped up as like a main vampire or just any character in the story, I would have lost my mind, because I love me some Viola Davis.
Before we call it quits, like overall, what do you final thoughts of Horror Noire?
Final thoughts. I think I pretty much said it as we were reviewing this. Okay. I just I want it to be a series. I want more. I mean, I'm happy that we got this. Again, I don't want to sound ungrateful. I love everything that they gave us so far. But now that we got this, and if they're going to do another, I want them to expand on these stories. Try, look, if they do a Kickstarter or something for money, I'll put my money towards it, because I want to see movies or shows like this thrive. I also want to see more of us, all different shapes and sizes, in these roles. They don't always have to fill those like those stereotypes. You know what I mean? Like, again, I would have loved to see a siren in a different shape, different look. I would love to see, or maybe the and no hate towards the actress that play that character, or even the actress that play the actress that was the main character in Sundown. I loved her. But I would have loved to see maybe, a different type of woman in that role. You know what I mean? Give her some braids or some locks, or you know what I mean? Like, show us the true, like, just our culture. I want to see it in here. So I just want more of that. But overall, I enjoyed, this anthology. I was happy for it. Again, I was worried when I did pick this, because I do know it was long, and I was like, oh, Ivotres is going to kill me. But, I'm happy that we did talk about this, and we got out the way, and I felt like, it was worth a watch. And I feel like everybody still should watch this. Regardless of our little complaints, people still should watch it.
Yes. So thank you so much, Bobby. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys want to check out Horror Noire, it is streaming right now on Shudder. So, Bobby, where can people find you?
Everybody can find me on YouTube, Bobby Likes It Spooky, Instagram, Twitter, Bobby Torrez with a Z, not an S. Also on a new podcast. Also on the new podcast, The People Under the Scares, and that's something new for me. My buddy Mike Brown started it, and he invited me on as a co-host, so that's something that I'm doing with him now, and it's been a lot of fun in the podcast world too. So, but I'm not neglecting YouTube and stuff, because I found my people and tribe here, so of course I'm still gonna be doing this. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Okay. Thank you, Bobby. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you like, subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment. Well, I was gonna say more Shudderary videos is on its way, but maybe. Depends on where this one's at. But they're out there. They're on my YouTube channel, so check them out. So until next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Bye. Happy Shudderary. Yay.
Yay.